Hello and welcome to Flutzes and Waxels, a figure skating podcast to satisfy all of your skating news, analysis, and recap needs. I'm Mary Margaret Mertzos.
And I'm Alicia Mertzos, and we're sisters with a lifelong love for figure skating, practicing, watching, and discussing. So let's delve deep into what's happened in the skating world this week.
This last couple of weeks, it's been a little while since we've done one of these, since it has been a little bit quiet. Also, it's been obscenely hot in Toronto.
And so we have found every excuse possible to hide in a skating rink.
Exactly. And just as an FYI, we do have a fan on, not the window today, so you will be hearing some white noise.
Or maybe not. Who knows? Maybe we're blocking it effectively enough, but it's not getting turned off. You'll live.
Because if we turn it off, we will die.
Yes. So. We won't if the fan is not on. So, again, I was talking to Patrick, friend of the show, Patrick. It's hotter here than it is where he lives, and he lives in Southern California.
Yeah, and it's not even as bad as the last time we recorded one of these.
So we're, fan, good, heat, exhaustion, bad.
Yes.
Let's talk about nice things like being inside a skating rink.
Exactly. So this one will be a bit of a mishmash. We just finished watching a lot of the Minto Summer Skate. It's one of the sectional competitions for Skate Canada to qualify for the Canadian Nationals. We also went to a Skate Ontario fundraising gala last week, and we'll talk about a little bit of that as well, and then end with some news re the podcast.
Yeah, which you may have already heard, but you also might have missed it. So you'll hear all about that at the end of the show.
Yeah. But let's start out with Minto, and this was one I was really excited for. Unfortunately, with all of these summer competitions, there are always withdrawals.
Yes.
And a lot of the skaters we were hoping to see did withdraw. You know, skaters like Gabby Daleman. It was supposed to be the debut of Ilyusheshkina and Bilodeau. So we had a number of those, which was unfortunate.
We're going to start by talking about junior dance.
Yep.
Which, in case you couldn't guess, was our favorite discipline here. And there were 5 teams who withdrew.
Yeah.
That being said, there were still 22 teams.
Honestly, this was by far my favorite event of this competition.
Yes.
And this is going to sound silly if you're not as big an ice dance fan as we are. But in all honesty, there are many things I'm looking forward to this upcoming season. Junior ice dance, I'm more excited for than literally anything else.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, junior dance, first of all, in case you missed it somehow, they have a brand new pattern, which is so much harder than all the patterns they've gotten in the past.
Yeah, and especially too since it's brand new when nobody really knows exactly what they're doing.
Yep.
It's a different thing when, you have something like, one of the classic patterns.
A good example would be the cha-cha.
Yeah.
The cha-cha congelato is a pattern that they had to do a couple seasons ago. Mm-hmm. It is also very hard. But their coaches had all learned it already and tested it and passed it.
And people have been doing it for years. So you sort of know what to look for and some good strategies of teaching the dance. Whereas when you have something that's absolutely brand new, like we have here with the Tea Time Foxtrot, everybody is starting from the exact same point of sort of not really knowing what's going on.
They are all literally starting from zero.
Yeah.
They're all watching old videos and trying to figure it out and trying to I'm sure all of these junior dance teams are doing the thing that you do when your coach isn't around and you're trying to learn a new pattern dance, which is skating around with your pattern binder, trying to figure it out.
And it's a tough one. There were a lot of teams struggling with it. And honestly, the technical panel at this competition was nicer about the levels than I would have been. I mean, that's normal, but...
It's a national level competition, and we know who wasn't invited to be the tech caller on this one.
Although, to be fair, I don't know if the link to the officials was up. I kept clicking to see who the technical panel was, and it just led to a dead page. Oh, no.
There it is.
They finally updated, and guess who's on the list there? Only for VRO, which is too bad.
Yeah.
Our former ice dance coach was one of the officials. Color me not surprised.
But I knew that he was not the tech controller, the tech specialist, or the assistant tech specialist, or these levels would have been all B's.
They should have had him do it,
honestly. They should have.
Because you need to There were not many teams I saw hitting those key points,
No.
and understandably so, because it is a really tough dance.
And they're also kind of like learning it on the fly.
Yeah.
A bunch of these teams weren't at the seminar that that they had with the
Kalischuk and Spaderia
and their coach all teaching the pattern. A bunch of these teams weren't there.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure it out, but we also need to tell them that they're not doing it right.
Yeah, and to be fair, a lot of the teams who finished lower down, there were a lot of Bs, but
Yes.
there were some 3s and 4s up near the top of the list, which even with that, I felt was a little nice.
Yeah.
The top finishing teams here, to be fair, this was a real competition for the podium.
This was a tight race.
Yeah, and I have to say, I really, really like this pattern. It's
Yes.
adorable and perfect for junior, and also really, really challenging.
Yeah.
There are, well, multiple moments where the partnering is really weird, and there were, I'd say at least half of these teams had a separation when he does
Yes.
his twizzle and she's supposed to be hanging on to him. Literally half of these teams didn't get that because it's hard.
It's hard because he is twizzling, and if she has too much speed
Or not enough.
or not enough or is on too deep of an edge or he kind of spins his twizzle,
Yep.
you're going to lose contact.
Yep.
And she can't put her foot down, and once he's in that twizzle, there's nothing he can do.
Yep. Yeah, it's the unfortunate thing is this wasn't archived, and I went to look for some of these to rewatch them, and as far as I've seen so far, nobody's posted them. Hopefully they do eventually get posted. I'm sure most of these teams we will be seeing later on in the season, so you can watch some of these skates that we're talking about, because we're going to talk mainly about the top 5 here.
Yeah.
And there were some excellent skates in both programs from these top 5 teams.
And some really, really fun choices
Yep.
for that rhythm dance. Oh, boy.
I thoroughly enjoyed, especially the rhythm dance. The free dance
Yep.
was very good too, but I think, it works perfectly for junior. It's sort of lighthearted and youthful.
Yes.
And there were a good few teams where just like, this is the height of adorability. I'm just watching this going, aw.
That hairspray rrhythm dance is the one that comes to mind.
Well,
it was so cute.
Why don't we get right in it? Because they won the
I
competition.
know.
Miku Makita and Tyler Gunera. They were third in that rhythm dance and won the free dance by a pretty big margin,
Yeah.
which put them first overall. They did their rhythm dance to Hairspray, and again, just utterly adorable.
So cute.
Mm-hmm.
Their pattern was I Can Hear the Bells.
Yep.
Which is like the most adorable song about teenage love ever.
Well, that's the thing. It just feels innocent, and it works really well, especially for these two, because
Yep.
they are young juniors, and they
Yes.
look young.
She especially looks very young. So picking something like Hairspray, which is about teenagers, is age appropriate,
Yep.
which I love. We're going to talk about some not so age appropriate choices going forward. It's age appropriate. It's fun. It's lighthearted. We didn't pick any of the pieces that were super heavy about the race thing.
Yeah,
or...
I mean, it's always hard when you're trying to pick, two pieces with different tempos,
Yeah.
and it goes right from, from I Can Hear the Bells to the finale number.
Yes.
You Can't Stop the Beat. And it is kind of a little bit jarring, but they portray the character very well. And even though, the transition isn't the most sort of obvious, they made it work for them.
They make it work. They sell so hard, especially that You Can't Stop the Beat.
Mm-hmm.
They're having the time of their lives.
Yeah, it's adorable. And they were one of the teams here who is sort of on the bubble, who hasn't yet been announced as being assigned to a junior Grand Prix. I think this should have booked their ticket.
Yeah.
I would love them to get 2 spots.
I mean, they
'cause
beat some great teams.
That's the thing. They skated really well. We have 14 spots for Canada, so there's no reason not to give these two JGPs. I think
at
they've earned
least
it.
one.
Yeah.
Bare minimum.
And obviously their free dance went really well as well,
Yeah.
because they won it over a lot of really good skates. As we said, the rhythm dance was a very technical program because everybody was struggling with that
Yeah.
two-time foxtrot. But there were a lot of really great skates in the free dance, and that's a more mature look for them, which also works pretty well. I of the two, I preferred the rhythm dance,
Yeah.
but it was a really strong skate in the free.
Yeah, I think this year we're going to see a mix of people committing 100% to no, let's have fun this season, which there were a lot of those.
Yep.
And then we're going to have a lot of teams saying, no, we need to balance out that insanely challenging, more upbeat, more fun rhythm dance with a more somber, mature, fill in the blank with whatever free dance. And that's the route they took, especially being as young as they are. I don't think that's a bad choice.
Yeah, no, I agree. And obviously it worked out well for them here. Second place were Nadia Bashinska and Peter Beaumont. And we'll talk a little bit about their skates here and at the Skate Ontario fundraising gala, because they went to both.
Yes.
They won the rhythm dance, and theirs was to The King and I. Again, adorable.
Adorable, age appropriate.
Yep.
We didn't get into any of the race heavy pieces.
Yes, it was
which
just
Getting
Shall We
to know
Dance,
you.
of course, and Getting to Know You. And it's like, okay, just sort of generic.
Yeah.
And I did think for these two, you could really tell they were very focused on the steps in the pattern, which is understandable, but it did for me take away from the performance just a little bit, because they show it off better in the free dance, especially at the fundraising gala.
Yeah.
They were our favorite program from that fundraising gala, where they performed their free dance. And the free dance they performed here was also pretty solid, but again, you could see the nerves coming in a little bit.
I mean, I think this might be a scenario where these two were not really used to leading after the rhythm dance. And the reality right now is, with Lejeune Laga moving up to senior this season, that top junior spot in Canada is
open.
Wide open.
Yep.
And they want it. They have a bunch of teammates who want it. So leading after the rhythm dance, I'm sure they were trying to take this opportunity to cement themselves as the number one junior Canadian team.
Yep.
And that led to the biggest mistake being her twizzle bobble.
Yeah, I mean, really, that was the only big thing. Again, they looked a little more tentative than they did at the fundraising gala, where obviously it's just a gala and you're not being scored.
Nobody cares whether you're
Except
doing
us.
your...
Except us.
Except
But-
us.
and probably Carol. But
Yeah, that's fair. Carol probably cared.
But yeah, overall they had a really good skate, and they are a team who, at least has their first Junior Grand Prix announced. I am fairly certain that they will get two.
Yeah.
And I think they look ready. They look ready to go. A little tentative, but my prediction is that all of the junior dance teams will be this season due to this new pattern.
Yes. And then also trying to claw back any lost points in the free dance. Oh no, I got B's on the tea time foxtrot because that pattern's impossible. How am I going to make up those points in the free dance?
And to be fair, they did give them pretty good levels in that free dance. And I will say, of the IDE Carol Lane's teams that were skating here, you could tell that they've been drilling it.
Yes.
We were disappointed not to see any rhythm dances at that fundraising gala, but I get it.
I
It's
totally
hard.
get it. Especially with how many of them were here this weekend.
Yeah.
It was a good opportunity to just come out and go into Minto feeling good about yourselves rather than going and doing the tea time foxtrot and messing up the pattern and coming into Minto freaking out.
Yeah. But I think that win in the rhythm dance was a big thing for these two. And, being on the podium, I'm sure they would have wanted a win, but this, as we said, was a deep field. And they just barely beat out McIsaac and Cercelli, who finished third and were actually second in both segments.
Yeah.
It was less than half a point separating the two of them. And I do feel a little bad for these two, because in terms of sort of consistency of skating, I personally felt that these two had the best. I would have given them the win overall.
Yeah, I think I would have as well. I mean, they are a team we've been following for quite a while. They've really matured this season compared to last season, and especially compared to a couple seasons ago.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that he has gotten very tall, they are managing very well.
Yeah, I was really impressed, especially by Corey Cercelli, because it's important to note as well that not only did he get a bronze medal in the junior dance, he also got a silver medal competing as a junior man at this same competition.
It's bananas. And he won the short program.
Yep. It's really impressive to see, and you can tell that there's been a lot of work done on their partnering.
Yes.
They sort of skate closer together than last season. You can tell that they just look more comfortable together.
Yeah, I was really impressed with their hold.
Yep.
They were finding creative ways to make sure that there was no extra space, because with how long his arms are, it would be so easy for them to be 7 feet apart, because he's got such a massive wingspan.
Well, and like we mentioned, with that one key point on the Tea Time Foxtrot where he does the twizzle and she has to be in contact with him, like, I think of all the teams, they probably did that key point the best.
Yeah.
Which, again, is really tough to do when he's as tall as he is.
Yeah.
And they did change the rules, because originally in the pattern it specified that she had to have her hand on his shoulder, and then they changed that because in junior the guys are way taller than the girls are half the time, and so that's impossible.
Sometimes there's like a 1.5 foot height difference.
Yeah.
They look like pairs teams in junior half the time. She's got to be right underneath him to keep her hand on his shoulder.
Yeah, so basically she just has to have her hand on him, like on his back somewhere.
Anywhere.
But they did it really well. I also really love the idea of doing a funny girl rhythm dance. It just works perfectly. Age appropriate.
My one thing, and I tweeted this, don't put your twizzles on if someone takes a spill, it's me and not you. Don't do it.
Well, that wasn't them. That was the other team.
Oh, right. That was the other funny girl.
The other thing that I was very glad about, we saw 22 rhythm dances. There was only one repeat of program music, which, great. I am very happy with. And there was 2 funny girl programs.
Yes, which again, approve.
Yeah, I don't remember right now which the other team was who did the funny girl program.
Whoever did it, don't do that. Don't put your twizzles on if someone takes a spill, it's me and not you, because you will.
Yeah, that's asking for trouble. But yeah, I really enjoyed that program, and also their free dance as well.
Yeah.
It's sort of an interesting combination of I think it's Nature Boy and Danse Macabre.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
It's an interesting mix of music and a very different tone than the rhythm dance, but they really portray both really well. And this is another team. They're assigned to the first Junior Grand Prix already in France. And I think for me, they look ready to go.
Yeah. I do also just want to mention some of the choreography in that free dance. I really love the placement of their character step, especially. Yeah. That bit of Danse Macabre, that's not easy to skate to.
Yep.
And so they stuck it where the character step is, because, oh yeah, we can just fake it. We don't have to do, 70 turns on this piece of music.
Yep.
We
and
can
it works
fake
really
it because
well.
it's a character step.
Yeah, it was a really effective free dance, and that one is definitely available on YouTube. I saw that somebody posted it, so I would highly recommend checking that one out if you didn't watch live.
Yeah, there was a thread that I retweeted of a bunch of videos from Minto. I don't think there were any rhythm dances in there, but there were a few free dances.
No, I've searched YouTube a few times, and if anybody has those links, please link them to us.
Please do.
A lot of these rhythm dances I would love to watch again.
They were so good, and I watched so many of them so late at night that I can't keep track.
Yep.
Also, we should mention the technical difficulties.
Oh, yeah. I mean, summer competitions, this happens all the time. It was constant throughout the entire weekend, unfortunately.
But the worst of it was the junior rhythm dance, in which they ran a full hour behind. They lost the one senior team's music. They couldn't announce the scores.
And, well, to be fair, there was a more disastrous moment that I heard about but did not see.
Oh, no.
I didn't watch the senior women. I, had other things going on. But apparently, and I'm blanking on her name, but the girl who won the senior women's event, they lost her short program music.
Oh, my God.
She skated her short program to her free skate music. But won anyway, so, it went okay.
The poor thing. Yeah. We need to...
Ekaterina Kurakova. Yep.
Yeah, that poor thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that is worse.
Yeah, that's why. It can be worse, and I mean, summer competitions, it's what happens.
Expect the worst. Expect to be there approximately 2 hours later than they say the goodbye time is.
Yeah. I mean, I do just want to say we gripe about the technical issues. However, it could be, there are lots of American competitions
Yes.
going on this summer that have no streaming or information whatsoever. So the fact that it's streaming and they post things even if the results are posted late, I appreciate it.
This is great. You know what? I wish it was better. But I also remember when we used to watch skating in the early 2000s, and you had to hope that our parents would let us record an entire competition on VHS off the TV.
Yeah.
Also so that we could watch it.
They would show it on TV, because if they didn't show it on TV, too bad.
Too bad. So, yeah, appreciate what you've got now, especially new figure skating fans who don't know that the world used to be very different for figure skating fans.
The struggle and how nice it is to have these live streams.
These daily motion streams. Skate Canada, Skate Ontario, please never stop doing these.
Yep.
They're the best.
And other feds take note, because it's a really great way of bringing people in. And, a little bit of ad revenue never hurts.
Exactly.
Then fourth place, we have a new team of Yutano Yoshida and Shingo Nishiyama, and they were here representing the cricket club, but they will be skating for Japan. And this team up is a really exciting one, because apparently he has only been doing ice dance for about 6 months or so.
I did not know that when I watched this. I was already fairly impressed.
Yeah.
I was already like, okay, real potential. I hear you're representing Japan. Thank you.
Yep.
And then we found out that he had only been doing ice dance for under a year.
Yep.
And I flipped. He's fantastic for having only done ice dance for less than a year.
I mean, like we said, this was a very large and very tough field, and they just missed out on being on the podium. Ironically, mainly due to the free dance. They had a better skate in the rhythm dance.
Their rhythm dance
enough.
was solid.
It really was. Theirs was to a chorus line, and again, utterly adorable.
Adorable. Did have some traumatic flashbacks listening to them do a pattern dance to One. If you don't know, the ISU gives you a CD. Yes, they still use CDs. For all the music for all the pattern dances, and everybody uses the same music. And the Keats Foxtrot is like a mid-level dance that everybody gets to, and everybody at the club is always doing the Keats Foxtrot. You listen to that awful slowed down instrumental cover of One.
Yep.
Like half an hour out of every hour session.
When you're at that level, yeah, because there's...
It doesn't even matter, though, if you're not doing that dance.
Well,
because 4 people always are.
Yeah, this at least was not quite so slowed down a version. It was, from, I think, the new Broadway recording.
Yeah, I didn't recognize the recording, but...
I think it's from, when they're doing the rehearsal, before the actual final number. I think that's what it was. But paired it with I Can Do That, which, again, just utterly adorable.
Perfect choice for juniors.
And like I said, they skated it really well. And ironically enough, their free dance, I felt there were a few moments where he especially stumbled a little bit and didn't look quite as comfortable. Because usually, like we said, that Tea Time Foxtrot was giving a lot of these teams the fits. But not these two, which is a really good sign.
It's a fantastic sign. I have a feeling that those free dance problems were mostly nerves of wait a second. We're in what place right now? We're in 4th? What?
Yeah. The free dance was to Don Quixote, and I think as well, utterly adorable. Again, a couple little moments where, where he was a little unsteady on his feet. But I think that is nerves, and I'm excited to see them at JGPs. As far as I'm aware, I think they're the only junior Japanese dance team competing this season.
As far as I know.
If there's any more, I hope that there are. Let's have some competition. But at the very least, stick together, you two, and keep on it, because I think there's lots of potential there.
So much potential.
And then we had in 5th place, Irina Galyanova and Grayson Lockhead. And these two I was really disappointed for, because they were 7th in the rhythm dance.
Yeah.
She fell on her twizzles in that rhythm dance, and that was what had them down below. Because in terms of the program and programs that I would love desperately to watch again, this was my number one.
Yes.
Their Bonnie and Clyde rhythm dance.
More Laura Osnes.
Even just So the Tea Time Foxtrot, they skated really confidently.
It was really good.
And she was performing full out throughout. I was amazed and thinking, okay, well, they're going to win this hands down. And then, unfortunately, fall on the Twizzles, took that out of the running.
Yeah.
But it's a really fun program leading to, of course, a shootout and then dying at the end.
Great costuming.
Yep.
I love her dress. It was one of my favorites of the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And a deep cut. We love a deep cut.
Well, and it makes sense, as a story. They're telling a story through the program, and it really, really worked. I felt so bad about that Twizzle fall. But at the same time, again, this was another team that we saw at the fundraising gala where they skated their free dance, and she had a really rough go of it at that gala.
I mean, these two programs are maybe the two most difficult junior programs we are going to see this season. Like,
they're really complicated, especially in the Twizzle sequences. They're really tough, and she struggled with them both weeks. And it's tough because they have so much potential, and I really like both of their programs. The free dance was sort of a Latin medley, a number of different songs, but showing off a really different side while still being fun and upbeat. The programs have all the potential in the world. Their skating is excellent, and like I said, I was utterly blown away by just how well she was able to emote and perform during the Tea Time Foxtrot.
I still can't believe what was going on in her face that whole time.
Which is why I keep searching, like, surely somebody's going to put this rhythm dance up on YouTube because I want to watch it again, but so far I haven't found it.
And again. I want to see it like 70 times. Both of these programs are so great. They look like senior programs.
Yeah.
They don't look like junior programs. And if these two can skate them cleanly,
watch out.
They will be our number one junior team.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, there is competition for that. But like I said, the potential is all there. Might be worth looking into simplifying the Twizzle sequences a little bit.
At least for now.
Yeah.
Because there's a big gap between the JGP and Canadian Nationals.
Yeah.
Tone it down for the JGP and then work your way back up to it for Nationals.
Yep. And they do, I believe it's Lake Placid, the first one that they're assigned to. And again, there's competition for it, but I hope that they do get 2 spots and that they're able to skate really well at their JGP.
Yeah.
Partly because we will be there.
I know.
And I would love to see it in person.
I want to see it in person, and I want to see it well.
Yeah, theirs was, ironically for me, the biggest disappointment.
Yep.
Kind of both weekends, this weekend and last weekend, when we saw them struggle at the fundraising gala, because you can see the potential is all there.
The programs are great.
Yeah.
Honestly, if they don't skate them well at Lake Placid, we're just going to go camp out at their rink until we see them do a run through of it cleanly.
Yeah. It's, again, I wish we could share their rhythm dance. And if anybody saved it somewhere, please send it to us.
Please. I don't care if it got taken down off of YouTube. Send me a Google Drive link just for me to watch it over and over and over again for the rest of my life.
But yes, even if it never comes back out, keep an eye out for these two.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're going to Lake Placid for the Ice Dance International next week. I haven't seen the entry.
Idea.
Like we said, the USFS is not as good with their entry lists.
They only just put out ticket information for the JGP and Lake Placid that's in a month.
Yeah. But look out for these two, and I really hope to see them do better in their next skate out.
Oh, I really hope they do. I want to scream myself hoarse in Lake Placid.
So that was our top 5. In terms of, I mean, there were so many teams here and a lot of really fun programs. I think one of my favorite rhythm dances was from Kiera Cam and Matthew Carter.
Yes.
Who wound up finishing 9th. They were the very first rhythm dance out and were, again, just utterly adorable. You can tell that they're straight out of Novice. They are very young looking.
Yes.
And, a little bit tentative, but I think there's tons of potential from those two.
So cute.
And finished 6th in the free dance.
Yeah.
9th overall, which,
is
they really
impressive.
came back from.
Yeah, and then the other team that I do want to mention is another team from IDE that we saw at the fundraiser.
Oh, yes.
I am going to butcher these last names. Shailene Katryan and Jordan DeRoshi. I think that's right.
I think so. they struggled a little bit in the rhythm dance.
Yeah.
You could tell they were a little nervous, but we saw their free dance obviously here and at the fundraising gala, and it's a really different kind of quirky. I'm not familiar with the piece of music, but it's an interesting program, and I think it'll work well for them.
Yeah, it's really odd, and they are quirky and kind of odd, and I mean, right up Carol Lane's alley, giving them such a weird free dance, and the rhythm dance has lots of potential too. They didn't skate it great here, but
they had some troubles, but. And then someone was also wanting us to mention a team competing here who will be representing Poland.
Yes.
Olivia Oliver and Josh Andari. This is a new partnership, and you can tell it's still a little bit rough around the edges. But the one thing I was really noticing was their extension looked, pretty well matched for, skating together for not too long. They got a little bit buried, I think, by the rhythm dance because they struggled a bit with that.
They did have a really hard time with that tea time foxtrot and with particularly transitioning in and out. You can tell that until they get to the tea time foxtrot, they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Which is something that'll just come with experience. They're in good hands. They're at Mariposa. They'll be fine.
Yep. And one last thing, and I'm blanking now on which team it was skating to it, but there was lots of discussion about whether The Great Gatsby is a musical or not.
Spoiler, it's not.
Yeah. We can probably, if we look into the protocols, we should be able to find it, because they did get a deduction. I'm not sure if it was... it's kind of hard to tell what the deduction was for, if it was for a music violation. There it is. 1 TS factor.
Yes, and it was Henson and Liquors.
Yep. It's... The Great Gatsby is not a musical.
It's not.
It's not.
I would argue that it's not even really in the style of a musical, which is what the juniors have an exemption for.
Yes. For the Tea Time Foxtrot section, to be clear. Because it is hard to find music for it, but at the same time, we just had 21 teams, not counting this team, with only one repeat of music, and all the rest of them were from musicals.
Yes.
So it is possible to find music that works.
It is entirely possible. They didn't need to give them that exemption. But the fact that 3 out of the 8 judges gave them a music violation is absurd. Other 5 judges, where were your brains? It was Beyonce and the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah, and to be fair, I haven't seen that movie in years, but the ISU in their document specifically said that A Star is Born is not a musical, in which case there can be no argument made whatsoever that The Great Gatsby is a musical. It's not.
The music is basically all non-diegetic.
Uh-huh. The characters do not sing them. It's in the background, occasionally brought to the foreground for like a dance scene.
It is occasionally diegetic if they're at a party, or there's like one scene where they're in a car. But 90% of the music is non-diegetic, which for those of you who have never taken a film course before, means that it's not happening in the world of the movie. We're hearing it, but it's not happening in the character's world.
Yeah, and that can happen sometimes in musicals. Usually the most famous example is something like Chicago,
where it's a dream sequence.
Yeah, where it's a dream sequence, but the characters are singing the song. It's pretty clear.
We can have a fight about dream sequences and like whether that is actually diegesis or not, but that's not a thing that we're going to have a conversation about on a figure skating podcast.
And honestly, I might even argue about A Star is Born. To be fair, I haven't seen the newest Lady Gaga version. Although it does amuse me that they specified it when the 1950s Judy Garland version is
a musical.
Is absolutely a musical.
There's no question that one's a musical.
You can argue about the Barbra Streisand Lady Gaga ones. The Janet Gaynor original 1937 one has no music in it whatsoever. And yes, I've seen all 3 except for the most recent one, ironically enough. But yeah.
Because we're nerds.
Yes.
If you missed that.
But if A Star is Born is not allowed to be a musical, The Great Gatsby is not allowed to be a musical. And we will see when we get to the senior ranks.
But there are other people talking about doing Gatsby.
Yeah. So we'll see. Especially at the senior level, I think it absolutely should be a deduction because it
Write
is
me
not from a musical.
Write me an essay and explain to me how The Great Gatsby is a musical, and then we can have a conversation.
By which we mean this specific version. I don't know
Yes.
if there is a Great Gatsby musical. Maybe there is, but that's not what they were skating
No.
to.
On the topic of music, we should talk about the other funky music situation that almost resulted in a deduction.
Yep.
Another team was skating to Aladdin.
Yep.
The movie with Alan Menken's music.
Yep.
Now, they picked entirely instrumental music. Never Had a Friend Like Me was the second half.
Yeah, the first half was sort of generic
Score.
Middle Eastern and gigantic air quotes
Yeah.
music where I was thinking, what are you even skating to? But
I used the Ask Google feature on my phone and asked it what song it was. It was music by Alan Menken from the score of Aladdin.
Yep.
I don't remember the name of it, but it was from the score of Aladdin, so I am willing to argue that that counts.
yep.
But they got the same number of music violation knocks.
And to be fair, I do kind of get it because, again,
Yeah.
when I was watching, I was thinking, okay, what is this? This doesn't sound like a musical. However, they are required to submit the musical that their music is from when they put their entries in. And I don't know if it happened at this event, but I really hope going forward that if this is a rule, then you should get a deduction if it's not actually from a musical, then perhaps this is something that needs to be discussed at the technical panel
Yep.
meeting before the competition even happens to assess. They said this is from a musical. Let's ask Mr. Google and
Yep.
see if it is actually from a musical.
I just proved to you how easy this is.
Yep.
You play their CD that they have already submitted, and you ask your phone, hey Google or hey Siri. Sorry, I definitely just made somebody's device listen to me. Hey Google or hey Siri, what's this song?
Yep.
And it will tell you, and it will tell you the composer. And you can look at the piece from Aladdin and go, oh, it's Alan Menken. Of course it's from Aladdin.
Or even if you want to make the argument that, well, it still shouldn't count. That's an argument that should be had before we even get to the point of
Yes.
scoring. Because they have to submit that information. Before they even go out on the ice what's going to happen.
Exactly. And to that team, I would say maybe track down a tech specialist or two and get their opinion on it.
Yeah.
Because
It's on the bubble.
it's borderline because it's not recognizable. Never Had a Friend Like Me, the instrumental cover. Everybody's like, oh yeah, that's Aladdin. I know what that is. But this other piece, I had no idea what it was, and I
Yeah.
was very confused.
So all that to say, we just spent almost 40 minutes talking about junior ice dance. I hope you enjoyed this, because
But-
we absolutely did.
Guess what? There's one more thing I want to talk about.
Okay, go for it.
I want to talk about free dance twizzles.
Yes.
Because there were issues with twizzles in the free dance.
Yes.
Part of it was camera angle, but part of it was skaters not really taking advantage of the new rule.
Yep.
Which, in case you missed it, they now are required to do two completely separate twizzles in the rhythm dance and the free dance. In the rhythm dance, they are not allowed to touch, and they are limited to 2 steps between the twizzles.
Yep, so sort of similar to the old style,
Yes.
like pre-last season's rules about twizzles.
In the free dance, though, they are required to make contact.
Yep.
There was one team, and it was the Japanese team, that basically literally high-fived in between their twizzles. I missed it the first time, caught it on the replay. But there were a couple other teams where I missed entirely whether they touched or not.
Yeah, I think, if you're choreographing and if you're skating, you want to make really sure, since that's now a requirement, like make it clear. Like some of the IDE, Carol Lane's teams, their twizzles are really, like they're in contact for a good while.
Yep.
Like to make it really clear, no, we are in contact in
They
between
go in-
these twizzles.
A couple of them go into full-blown foxtrot hold.
Yep.
Like, no, see? We're touching for a really long time. I'm going to do a twizzle, and now we're going.
Yep.
Like, that is the way to make sure that no judge is missing that.
Yep. Or
And-
that you just, don't accidentally miss each other.
Yeah.
Like you go to high five and you're in the wrong place and just
And
totally
miss it
miss that
entirely.
requirement.
Like, there's no reason for that to happen. You can just actually grab onto each other, do a couple steps, and then let go.
Yep. And it is hard, as we saw from, as we mentioned, Gallianova and Lockhead. They had trouble with the twizzles of both sets in both programs. But
Those were also overly complicated,
Yes.
which I love, but the reason they messed them up is because they were overly complicated. There is a middle ground between the high
Yep.
five and Gallianova and Lockhead's
Yep.
twizzles.
So, all that to say, we have now officially reached almost 40 minutes talking about junior ice dance. We hope you have enjoyed, because again, we did, and this was honestly most of what we had to talk about this episode.
And if you didn't, guess what? This is mostly what we talk about.
Yeah. Outside of the podcast? Absolutely.
Yeah, this is our lives. We maybe can't be friends if you didn't enjoy the last 40 minutes.
I'm sure you didn't last this long if you weren't enjoying all our ice dance talk. But
on a more positive note, if you did make it this far, maybe we can be friends.
Yeah. Watch junior ice dance. Get excited for it. All right, but let's move on to the other disciplines.
Yes.
And again, there were a lot of withdrawals, and we weren't able to watch all of it since, as we said, there was no archiving.
And we were trying to have lives.
Yes.
You know, it's still only July. We're not quite at the point where I'm ready to commit to not having a life outside of work and skating.
Yep. So we had quite a number of teams go from the senior pairs event.
Yeah, this was depressing.
I was really looking forward to it because there were a lot of good teams registered, but only 2 wound up finishing. There were some interesting new partnerships, though.
Yeah.
One of them was Frances Boudreau-O'Day and Nadine Wong, and I'm just realizing they accidentally swapped their names on the results.
That was on the graphic, too. Guys, it's not that hard. Ladies first.
Especially when every other team is listed that way.
Ladies for this has been driving me nuts since the pair short program.
But yes, they won the competition, and overall I think it's a pretty good pairing.
Yeah.
They're pretty obviously still new, just doing like a double twist, and you know, still working on sort of the unity in some of the elements.
But a lot of their elements are really strong.
Mm-hmm. And another new pairing who we saw just for the short program were Isabella Gamez and David Alexandre Paradis, who will be competing representing the Philippines, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
She looked very nervous, which led to some mistakes here.
The poor thing looked terrified, and she immediately fell.
Yeah.
Like, before the program even really started, she was on the ground. And that kind of ruined the rest of the program.
Yeah, which is a shame. We'll see. Hopefully they, have a better second outing, you know, getting the nerves out here. But always great to see teams from smaller federations.
Yeah.
And the other team that I really enjoyed were Lorianne Matt and Terry Furland. Their short program is a lot of fun.
Their short program was fantastic. They actually won the short program, which, had everybody been here, would have been very impressive.
Yeah.
But even without, they are not necessarily a team that is, Skate Canada's go-to for that third Skate Canada spot. But they had a really fantastic short program, won it, and then came out and kind of panicked during the free skate.
Yeah. But still, having that one really good skate out the bat is really great for them. And beating out, our national bronze medalists, Rouet and Wolf, who had a rough short program. They were having some trouble on the elements. It looks like it's going to be a good program, but things were a little rough around the edges.
Really rough.
Yeah.
It was a rough day in pair skating, especially because we started with 8.
Yeah.
2 withdrew before the start of the competition. 2 more withdrew at the short program.
And then another 2 withdrew after the short program.
Oh.
Yeah, it was sort of similar with the senior men as well. And there were some rough skates there too. Conrad Orzel won overall, going for some serious technical content. But for me, it kind of made the rest of the program suffer a little bit.
Yeah.
Bennett Toman was second, and though he didn't have quite as good a skate as he did at the fundraising gala, we'll get to that in a bit, I think, he's been looking improved this season.
Yeah, he's looking a lot more confident in his skating, which has always really been the problem.
Yeah. And then we had Nicolas Nadeau, who withdrew after the short program. And again, it looks like it'll be a really fun program, but the jumps were not going.
Sweetie.
Yeah,
we need to work on those jumps.
It was a real rough go, and I don't know if he's still injured. I don't know what the situation is, but it was a bit tough to watch that one.
Yeah, Nick makes me sad because he has all the potential in the world, and he's had some amazing skates in the past, but the last few seasons have been so rough.
Yeah. And as we mentioned, we weren't really able to watch much of the senior women. Unfortunately, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name, but the girl who won, Ekaterina Kurakova, she won by a good margin. Apparently, she will be representing possibly Poland, not Canada, which is too bad for
Canadians.
Canadians.
I'm very sad that she's not competing for Canada, but I did see a picture of her at the cricket with Brian and a Polish flag.
Yep.
So I think that cements that.
Yeah. And then we had Hannah Dawson, who was, I believe, a junior champion last year, finished in second. And she had not too bad a skate. And then Michelle Long, third, and Alicia Pinot, fourth.
Yeah, it was a rough go of it in the senior ladies from what I saw.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't really get to watch much.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
What I saw was not amazing, which, I mean, is not the most surprising thing in July for Canadian senior ladies.
I mean, that's kind of what I expected, to be honest. If somebody had an amazing skate this early on in the season, I would have been going, no, it's too soon. Save it for later.
Calm down. No.
Not yet. But that was Minto. And as we said, there's lots of more summer competitions in Quebec and Ontario, and one in Alberta, I believe, as well. Wild Rose is coming up. So if you can watch those, you know, they're live streamed. So.
Especially Quebec Summer Championships.
Yep, I'm excited for that one.
I'm so stoked.
There are lots of teams, you know, registered. Who knows how many will withdraw,
but all the dance teams are there.
Yep.
There's no reason for the dance teams to withdraw. They don't have to go anywhere.
Yep. And as we mentioned, we'll talk a little bit about that Skate Ontario fundraising gala. A lot of the teams we've already talked about because, of course, this was being run partially, like sort of half and half between Skate Ontario and Ice Dance Elite, the Scarborough Figure Skating Club, which were all of Carol Lane's teams.
Yeah, this fundraiser is replacing one that we used to go to.
Yep. Which was
their
just
home rink.
Just for IDE. Yeah. And this one had, you know, lots of junior women, a few senior competitors. The big draw, of course, were Gilles and Poirier, who did their Vincent program. We were a little bit disappointed. We wanted to see something new, but have to keep the anticipation building.
They're building the anticipation. Piper told me they just weren't ready yet on Instagram when I posted a picture and was like, okay, yeah, this is great, but like, what about your new programs?
And as we said, we were a little disappointed not to see any rhythm dances, but at least we saw them this week.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Evelyn Walsh and Trent Michaud had to withdraw because they were one of the headliners.
Yes.
But we did see Nam Nguyen's short program. And I think this is going to be a really good program for him. Unfortunately, the jumps did not go so well in it. But choreographically and sort of character-wise, I think it'll work really well for him.
I really think that this is what they kept trying to go for when they kept giving Nam all those weird childish programs when like they were trying to find his niche.
Yeah.
This is what they were looking for. They just couldn't find it yet.
Yep.
We finally found it. I think it's a great program. I like Blues for Kluke. Fight me. I know lots of you don't, but Blues for Kluke is great. And
as we mentioned, Bennett Toman competed his short program at the fundraiser, and his was one of the best skates of the night.
Yeah.
It was a really, really strong performance. Jumps going really well. Like I said, it was too bad that in competition it didn't go quite as well, but the fact that he was able to skate such a great program to me suggests that, you know, training and things are going well. We just need to build up to showing it in competition.
Yes.
And then another team I wanted to mention who just showed their free dance were Molly Lanahan and Dmitry Razgalayevs. They were skating their free dance to Summer of 42, which is a really beautiful piece. I love the costumes. We have a picture of it on our Instagram if you want to take a look.
We are going to have lots of pictures of it on our Instagram. I was taking pictures through the entire fundraising gala. I have lots of pictures that you will see of all of the skaters there. But that was, I mean, in terms of programs I loved, Lanahan and Razgalayevs and my brain fart, Bashinska and Beaumont. There we go. That's the name I was looking for.
Yeah, those were some of the best programs that I'm really excited to see in competition.
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait for you guys to see all of these dance programs because they're fantastic.
Yep. And then a few other mentions of teams who were at Minto, but I didn't get to see them skate live, were Patricia Andrew and Zachary Daleman. They presented their short program, and I believe they did pretty well here at Minto. Again, I wasn't able to watch the junior pairs live, which means I wasn't able to watch it at all.
They won. There we go.
I
they
thought
won.
they did, but I wasn't 100% sure. Yeah, they're a new partnership, but she is a firecracker.
She is such a firecracker, and he is tall.
Yes. I think they're pretty well matched. Obviously, they're new, and it's not perfect, but I was really impressed by their presentation at the fundraising gala.
Things are going well for those two.
Yep. And then we also saw a new novice team, Emma Goodstadt and Michael Barsom, competing in novice dance. They did a Mary Poppins Returns free dance.
It was absolutely adorable.
Yeah. And they finished in second overall at Minto, which is a really great start for them. They looked really excited.
Yeah.
And, you know,
it's
a really fun free dance, again, if you're able to find it anywhere.
And, I mean, great costuming, too.
Yes. So that was sort of the skating news of the past 2 weeks. And I mean, we've taken up enough time talking about ice dance anyway that I'm sure you don't need more at this point.
No, I think you guys are fine. But now it's time for fun and exciting news in the world of Flutzes and Waxels.
Yep.
If you missed it, we launched a Patreon like a week and a half ago.
Yep. And don't worry if you're wondering, you know, I haven't been charged. They haven't posted anything yet. We're not posting yet. This was just getting it ready to go for when the craziness starts in September.
I was going to say, because I will not have time to set this thing up once, like, the JGP starts. Mm-hmm. So everything is set up. The plan right now is for you to get your first bonus episode when Battle of the Blades premieres in the middle of September.
Yeah, because we really love Battle of the Blades, and we would love to talk about it. And we went back and forth thinking, because as you know, there's JGPs, there's challengers, there's like fun competitions going on in September. It's insane. And we were debating, do we want to talk about it? Do we not? Also, I think, you know, obviously you are receiving these podcasts for free. And for the main podcast, we would like to keep it that way. We don't want to, you know, put everything behind a paywall. But
we have to pay $16 a month in hosting. We have actually already reached that goal of covering our hosting fees from the patrons who have already committed to paying $1 per episode.
Yeah.
We have one person, I don't remember your name, the person who committed $5 per episode. Please send us a message because I'm concerned about the way that you set it up. You might not get the episodes.
Oh, dear. Yes, send us an email just to figure this stuff out.
You've currently got it set up as no reward. If that's what you want, cool. But, like, you could also just have access to the RSS feed in case you change your mind.
Yeah. So basically how this is going to work, because there are two different ways you can set up Patreon. You can either have it a fee per month, where, like, you pay us every single month and you get whatever we give you during that month. Or you can pay per episode. And now, to be very, very clear, in case you're getting nervous, this is not per episode of the regular podcast, which we do like 4 a week. It's not per episode of that.
It is per bonus episode.
Yeah.
So that will be our Battle of the Blades episodes. Other things we've thrown around the idea of doing is commentary tracks for skating movies from the 90s, or the movies surrounding certain pieces of music that are very popular in figure skating.
Yep.
Those are the kinds of things that you're going to get on our Patreon.
Sort of more fun bonus things that aren't competition reviews, but, you know, that we would like to do and that people have mentioned to us that they would like us to do.
Yes. And so, to get those things, you only have to pay us $1 per bonus episode.
Yeah. And the reason we set it up that way is partly, well, not even partly, honestly, more than anything, to give us some flexibility so that if things get crazy, or if, you know, heaven forbid...
When things get crazy.
No, I was going to say, or if heaven forbid one of us, like, breaks a leg or something again, because it's happened, that, you know, if something horrible happens and we don't have time to release a bonus episode, that you're not paying us and not getting anything in return.
Yes.
Just so that we have some flexibility, that if we need to take a little bit of a breather, we can. And also just so that, you know, if we get to a point where we don't release anything in a month, or we only release one episode per month, that, you know, we're not stealing your money. We don't want this to be a money-grubbing scheme.
We don't want to steal your money. The main thing we want to cover is our hosting costs, and so that we can return our second mic that is borrowed, that has been borrowed for 2 years, and buy ourselves a new one.
Yeah, those are just things like that, helping going to competitions. It's more because we have been eating the cost of our $16 a month to host this, to make it available for people. Those kind of little things add up, and we just, would love some help,
covering the costs.
And not being in the hole with it, basically.
And so if you want to join our Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/flutzescast, same as everywhere else.
Yep.
We're easy to find. And the other thing I do want to mention is, if, let's say, you are on a very tight budget and you want some extra things, but you're like, I don't know how much I can afford. Good news, you can set a budget.
Yep.
So if for some reason we release 8 bonus episodes in a month and you're like, I don't have $8.
Which, although to be fair, we're not going to.
No.
We can't do that much work. Just FYI.
No. But if for some crazy reason something weird happens, we're releasing more episodes than you can afford, Patreon will not bill you for episodes beyond your budget.
Yeah.
So you can set your budget to $2 a month. And then if we release 1 episode, you get that episode. If we release 4, you get 2 of them.
Yep. And also, to be clear, our hope for when it starts is we want to cover Battle of the Blades. That would be 1 episode per week. And we want to try and do at least 1 per month. Mm-hmm. So it would be somewhere in between
$1 and $4 a month.
Yeah. And honestly, probably other than Battle of the Blades, it's more likely to be on the $1 a month side of things. Just to be clear, we are not trying to release 12 episodes and that kind of thing. That is not the intention.
No. Next summer we might do 1 a week if we're feeling ambitious.
Yep.
But there is not going to be a time where we're releasing more than 1 bonus episode a week.
Nope. It's not going to happen. And again, this is just, we thank everybody who's already subscribed.
You guys are amazing. Yep. I love you.
And we are just so thankful that, you're interested in hearing us yap on about figure skating and willing to, help us pay for this, which again, we have been eating for the past 2 years, which is why we're trying to ramp up to having it pay for itself. Not even really more than that. Just pay for itself.
We just wanted to cover the costs, which it's going to.
Yep.
Which is so amazing. I can't believe that you guys have already done that before we've released an episode.
Yep. And so I believe it's September 17th, something like that Battle of the Blades comes back. We will be having an episode
September
for you.
19th.
19th, sorry.
Thursday nights.
Yep.
Why, oh, why did you pick Thursday nights, CBC?
Just to be in conflict with all the other skating stuff, but we'll be talking about it. We'll see. We might even be looking into, going live in person because it's going to be in Toronto.
It's in Toronto, and having been there lots of times, it is so much fun. If you are also in Toronto,
keep an eye out because
go to the tapings, buy a ticket. They're not expensive, and it is so much fun.
Yep.
And the skaters will say hi to everybody after, and they're very nice.
Yep. So yes, get hype for September.
Yeah.
There's going to be lots going on. We'll probably be going a little bit insane.
Yep.
But
help us cover the added caffeine that we're going to need to get through September.
Yep. And our, many ticket costs for this year.
All the tickets. Oh boy.
All right. So I think we've done an hour. That's probably enough for total off-season ramblings.
Yep.
But so check out the Patreon if you haven't yet, and if you're wanting to wait until we actually release something, feel free, because again, it's not going to be until September, just FYI.
And we'll be really obnoxious about telling you about it when we release the first Patreon episode, so you won't miss it.
Yep. And I mean, the JGPs start in less than a month, so
we're 3 weeks away from the first JGP.
It's madness.
We might not be back until then, FYI.
It is possible. We got to preserve our strength before September comes and we literally go insane.
Yep. All right.
So let's wrap it up for now. Thank you all for listening, and please let us know your thoughts about This Week in Figure Skating at flutzescast@gmail.com. You can also follow us at Flutzescast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for even more skating content.
Check out our merch store on redbubble.com, search for Flutzescast, and if you like what we do, consider leaving us a review wherever you're listening. We'll be back at some point with more stuff, but until then, keep a watchful eye out for those Flutzes and Waxel skating fans.